Welcome one, welcome all. This is a great time because we get the classic rivalry, the Cowboys and Steelers, the ones that the 70s and 80s will kind of live on. But now that we're in the 2020s, this game, you know what? It's not bad, man, going. As far as primetime games go, I actually don't hate watching the Steelers with Justin Fields. And they might be forced to, I wouldn't say throw the ball or anything, but forced to move the ball here against this Cowboys team. How are you doing, man, going?
Good. Yeah, it wasn't the worst Sunday. Battled all day, it felt like, but got the job done. Man, going with fake woke room. Yeah, I'm in Kurt's house. If you're wondering, Kurt evacuated. Right, Kurt is out of here. He's leaving Florida. I stayed in the house. I said I'm going to stay. I'm going to fight the hurricane, and Kurt can leave. So I'm at the house. Kurt left, and we're hanging out and having a good time. So it should be a lot of fun. We're talking Steelers and Cowboys. Is a great game to watch with your grandfather, Rubio. Go grab an old guy, and like sit down. He can tell you some stories about the 70s in the 80s when these teams battled it out.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I already know I'm going to hear about that, all night. They're going to be going through all the stories on why this was a great rivalry. So real quick, I wanted to hop on the inactives real quick. Deuce Vaughn, inactive. Micah Parsons, inactive. You also have guys like, KJ Henry, Waletzko, Stevens, Carson. So really the big ones there, Micah Parsons, I think that was expected. Then Deuce Vaughn being inactive. I'm going to see who gets those running back carries for Dallas. Let me go ahead and check real quick because I did want to give a shout out to Kurt. If you watch this sometimes on Sunday, you'll notice that Kurt is not here despite usually being a guest. He is evacuating Tampa because of the hurricane, as Mangone mentioned. So best wishes to you, Kurt. Hopefully everything is good. But yeah, should be a good game, Mangone. Let's go ahead and dive into the quarterbacks here because to me, what we just saw the Justin Fields ceiling game last week, right? The Justin Fields that was promised but rarely delivers. And it might have been a product of bad defense, but he gets another mediocre to bad defense tonight against the Cowboys where he can do that again. He's in captain viable play for me and someone that I'm debating captaining in my single entry team. As far as Dak Prescott, though, I don't think I'm going to be able to captain him tonight. What's your take on the quarterbacks here?
Yeah, I currently have Justin Fields as my core for my captain quarterback. I just think he's like, the matchup is really, really good, right? Like this Dallas team is not one that I'm scared of at all. Also, it could be a muddy game and just like really ugly one. There's some rain that could be coming through. So it could get ugly, right? The grinded out game where the passing isn't as successful. And honestly, I mean, Fields, he's been getting more design runs than he got in Chicago, right? That's Arthur Smith just designing those up. And, for all the shit we give Arthur Smith, right? Like, yeah, he doesn't use his best players and stuff, but like he does like get the guys, he does get wins. I'll give him that. I mean, he does find a way to do that. So listen, Rubio, he's got nothing right now. Okay. He's doing what he can with it. I'm not a big Arthur Smith guy, but got to give him credit for making this offense at least move and look halfway decent so far. So if
I think you give Justin Fields the credit. You give Justin Fields the credit. You're saying that Arthur Smith deserves credit. Here's the points they put up: 18, 13, 20, and then 24 to now. This isn't Arthur Smith. This is the defense that's doing all the legwork for the Steelers.
So yes, the defense is obviously the key. Like if you watched, I said this could be the best defense. I said this on the preview show. This could be the best defense we've seen since the Legion of Boom, right back in the day. So and honestly, it's not just that Justin Fields' price is too good, right? Just if we're talking about the price tag, the defense, the opportunity, Justin Fields is a really, really strong captain option, in my opinion. And he's definitely one that I want to get to on this slate. Now, I'm with you. It's harder to get to Dak Prescott. And, like, honestly, the way this Cowboys offense is designed, like, if Dak is the captain, CD probably went pretty insane and some of these other options. So, and yes, there's going to be routes where I know a Dak Prescott captain could win and not, you don't need CD captain. I get that. But what I'm getting at is I don't think Dak is a great captain option compared to Fields, compared to Lamb. Like, you have to make some cuts, right? And, last week I was an idiot and said, don't play Derrick Henry. I said, if they're leading, you think the Ravens are leading, go ahead and play Derrick Henry. I don't think they're leading. And then, I looked like a moron. So, hey, we bounced back, and I hope Dak captain doesn't kill me. I think he's a great flex option. Quarterbacks have been really strong in the flex at this time. And honestly, I think there's a lot of other interesting routes that I want to talk about and we should look at in the captain. But I think it's pretty clear to me that I like Fields at captain. I like Lamb. Those would be my two favorite ones. And then I'm struggling between Najee Harris and George Pickens. I think that's like if you give me like captain ranking number 3 and 4, that's probably 3 and 4 for me. What about you, Rubio? Because I'm curious because I think I think there's a pretty big drop off after some of the guys we're discussing. Like that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, when I look at captain, obviously Fields is in play, and he is someone I'm greatly debating. And the great thing about Fields is he's 2K less than CD Lamb, right? And whether you like it or not, I mean, that's 1,000 more in the captain at that point, right? Or 1,000 if you're playing both. Like, it saves you a lot of salary if you want to go Fields captain. I don't think you really need that salary today, but I do think Fields and Lamb are 1A and 1B. Like, I look at it. Pickens had the fumble last time. I didn't love it, last week where it's a great matchup. He really was mediocre. I mean, it's the same thing with Pickens over and over and over again. He's going to have stealing games, and this is a decent spot. But for captain wise, like I don't care for it. 9,600 is insanely tall tag to pay for George Pickens. Najee Harris, 8,800. That's two very tall tags. When I look at it, Mango, it's Fields 1. Or I should say Lamb 1 and then Fields 2. And the thing is, if I need that salary, I'm going to flip it to Fields without any issue. Dak, I'm not really considering. 10.8 is a really high tag for a quarterback that we've had this year. I think we've been more accustomed to like that mid 9K range. Like even Kirk Cousins, when he absolutely nuked, was like not even close to 10K. And when I also look at it this way, man, going with Brandon Cooks out, a sneaky captain play, if you did want to fit in a lot of studs, I shouldn't say it's sneaky because it's looking like 30% ownership overall. Jalen Tolbert, he didn't look terrible last primetime game that we had against the Cowboys. He had a 26-yard catch called back, but he should get a little bit of an increase in burn. And then I don't think I'd go below him though. I think Tolbert would be as tournament oriented as I would go at captain, and even then it might funnel a little bit. But yeah, I think kicker captain here too. I mean, this is worth bringing up because I know a lot of people do like Brandon Aubrey. I think Brandon Aubrey, what's his ownership, man, going? This is the most expensive I've seen a kicker in a long time. 5.8K. That's a great. I don't think I'm going to captain him at all. And, I loved Brandon Aubrey last Cowboys slate that we had. I think that was a Thursday night. Was that Sunday night or Monday night against the Giants? It was one of those nights, but I don't love it at 5.8K, but I do like the kickers overall. So we'll talk about them in a little bit. Yeah, I do like Turpin there, Todd. So, man, I'm going to throw it to you here. All right. Both quarterbacks in the same lineup tonight, yes or no?
I mean, yeah, I think it works. I think it's very viable. It's not difficult to do. I mean, I don't want to like jump around too much, but like, I think value is kind of tough on this slate. And when value's tough, that's where I start to think about these other like mid-tier captains a little bit. Like I either want to go kind of all the way up or find like that mid-tier option. And if we're still on the captain section,
yes,
I'd be curious to get your take on this option, Rubio. So like if we were going in the mid-tier, so I have a soft spot for one player on this team. The Cowboys defense is terrible, right? Or at least we don't think it's great. Okay?
Yeah, I think they're subpar. Yeah.
Okay. If we're looking for a balanced captain, could it be Pat Freiermuth or like even Jake Ferguson? Like I think the tight end captain is super intriguing on this slate. I do want to like run a little bit more stuff. And I think when I ran stuff earlier, I made a couple errors with my runs. So I'm going to try to rerun it here. But the point I'm getting at, Rubio, is I really do think that like mid-tier captain is kind of intriguing on this slate. Now, I do understand what is going to grade out the best. It's going to be these expensive captains. But the counterpoint is these values just are not great. I mean, we'll obviously keep going through it slowly, but you said it. We don't have the kicker value, right? He's 5.8K. Now we're going to have to bank on the defenses, which don't get me wrong. Defense can definitely get there today, but what if they don't? Now you're banking on what? Like Hunter Lupke at $200 and Calvin Austin the third. Like I'm just saying, these are not your typical.
I think you've tarnished Hunter Lupke's name. He's 1K now. Inflation has hit the DFS streets too.
Okay, but he is still like, so when I ran the cash game stuff, he is the cash game flex. And is his name even Hunter? I don't even know what his freaking name
It
is.
is. Yeah, Lupke. Yep, you got it right.
Lupke, whatever his name is. But point I'm getting at is Rubio, the value is not great on this slate. And that's why I wanted to ask you, do you think, because when I ran stuff, I didn't get a lot of those mid-tier captains, but I'm wondering, do those mid-tier captains make sense? Like, for instance, we saw Big T the other night. Big T had Darnell Mooney captain, was winning a ton of money before overtime. Also, different scoring type of game than this one, I understand. But the point I'm getting at is we've seen the unique mid-tier build. We saw it almost win the other day. So I'm asking, do we think that can work on this slate?
So my first hand build was actually a Tolbert captain, and the mid-tier build did seem nice. But at the same time, like you kind of end up in a range where, unless you're like going to Turpin and stuff, like you said, there's no one really below him. And a mid-tier captain kind of funnels you into like a 4 or 3K play. And sometimes there's just merit into punting it. I don't think completely punting it or whatever is the right move, but like you can talk me onto a Shamplin or a Jalen Brooks tonight at 2,000, 2,400. You also got Lupke at 1K. Like I'm okay captaining a stud because I'm okay with those guys. However, when I look at the rest of the slate, though, like if I have to go above them, like the Steelers defense is fine. Calvin Austin looked good last week, but really you kind of run out of like solid options. Everyone kind of just blends together. And I think that there's merit in going these Cowboys wide receivers down low, but overall, like I'm kind of on team stud captain, but I do get your point with that mid-tier build as I built it out with Jalen Tolbert earlier.
Yeah, I'm just asking because I didn't see it much, right? And I'm not trying to just like.
I like this. Hold on. We got VIP. He's a big Cowboys guy. Flournoy was really good in the preseason, so this is worth a shout, right? And this is where the dumpster diving kind of gets a little bit too aggressive. But if he's active, let me go ahead and just get this up. If he's active, min price 200 guy, I need one in my pool, man. Going, I'm going to go Flournoy. He looked really good in the preseason, and there's a chance that he gets some snaps in place of Brandon Cooks. We're jumping around. We usually don't just go. We usually go position by position. We're kind of jumping around a little bit more.
We're on captains, and I asked a question about values because I think value struggles on this slate. Another good point, which back to the inactives, which we talked about. Deuce Vaughn is inactive, and that is going to help out Hunter a little bit. And I mean, he got used. I think he was used more than Dowdle and Zeke last game. So maybe his value is stronger than I'm like leading on for sure. Again, that's why we do these shows sometimes. Kind of forgot about that a little bit, but that is a fair point with him. So, but again, like it's Hunter Lupke, right? Like
so this is the classic play. This is why I love having VIP for Cowboys slates, like especially is where on Bengals slates last year, I felt really good because Tanner Hudson would constantly come in under own, and like you could have an opportunity to really bank with a cheap guy. If Flournay's been getting talked up by the coaches and stuff, as you guys know, I was 3 weeks too early on Roschon Johnson, or 1 week early. Did you see Roschon Johnson today, man? God,
I did. I
figured 2 touchdowns. Yeah. So it kills me every week he scores. Yeah. But there's a reason that I like punting a little bit, and it allows me to get everything I want. And there was a build, man, going that had me punting down to 200, and I couldn't find anyone that I really liked. But Flournoy does allow that CD Lamb captain build, which is why I bring it up. The CD Lamb captain build. And if you're wondering, I'm going to go over some stats from week 4 real quick. We're going to talk about wide receivers, and then we'll move back to running backs. Here's the snaps last week, or the routes ran. Brandon Cooks led the team with 26. This is against the Giants on Thursday Night Football. So it's about 10 days away, right? 10 days ago. Brandon Cooks led the team in routes, not going to play. So you have 26 routes go around in that sense, right? If however many times they throw the ball. Jalen Brooks ran 3 routes. Turpin in that same game only ran 2 routes. So who knows where those routes go? And I don't really know exactly, who's it going to go to. A lot of people might be convinced that it's Turpin. A lot of people might be, full go on Turpin because I think he had a touchdown earlier this year too in week 3. Brooks also had like 4, 5, 6 targets. A lot of people are going to gravitate toward them, but maybe there is a pivot with Flournoy at 1% owned for tournaments. Man, what's your take on this wide receiver room for the Cowboys?
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely take shots on the Florio stuff, but for the receivers, like I just think like CeeDee Lamb's matchup proof, right? So I'm not really caring about the matchup at all. I think he's clearly a strong play. I just don't want to invest in like Dowdle and Zeke, and I just want to invest more in the passing game. Like I'm basically going to fade, I think, Dowdle and Zeke. Now I'm not really counting like the value, like Lupke is like a running back from that room, but like those two main running backs, I'm just not going to play. And I'm just going to play the pass game because they are clearly just going to pass until they figure out their running back situation. Now, who knows? Maybe they sign someone in a couple weeks and they kind of figure out their situation, or they make a trade. They get someone like, Miles Sanders, like Rubio wants. But point I'm getting at is right now, they are going to lean on their pass game. They just have to. And they're going to do, like, dude, they had CeeDee Lamb. Like, I get it. Debo will do like sweeps at times. And like now he's been in the backfield. Like, dude, CeeDee Lamb was in the backfield. Like, CeeDee Lamb is not like built like Debo, where he's just like a tank and should be taking all that. Like, if CeeDee just can't be taking that as a running back. You know what I mean? Like, over and over. Sure, it works for now. But point is, this running game is terrible. So I want the pass game more. I think Lamb is a better play than Dak Prescott. Like, I would have him ranked over Dak. So I want to get exposure to this pass game. And if you look at the flow chart, I know Big T loves to show that off. Ferguson grades out pretty good on the flow chart today for good reason. When you're playing a team like the Steelers, it's going to be hard to beat them over the top, where I think you're just going to get a lot of short yardage stuff. They're just going to scheme that like Mike McCarthy, West Coast offense, short yardage stuff to try and like move the ball. I think you're going to get a lot of PPR points from these Cowboys. And I think this passing game is a really good one to get exposure to.
I brought up the Weather Channel, which is never a good idea when you're on a laptop or a computer like this, because the Weather Channel sucks up all the memory. But I've been told that there's thunderstorms in Pittsburgh tonight. Whoa, how great. How great. It looks like the weather tonight could be spotty, as severe thunderstorm watch until 11 p.m. in Pittsburgh. That's not going to push me off these passing options, but I'm with you. But ranking them, I have Lamb clear number one, right? Then Tolbert. And then I don't mind those guys. Like Turpin's going to make the list. He's 3K. It's going to fit a lot of builds. Brooks hasn't looked bad. Flournoy there for a punt, but only if you need the punt. Do not force Flournoy at all. But yeah, I mean, when I look at this room, man, it's just a lot of 1A. And then, God, Tolbert's not exactly great, but he's definitely the second best option. And this is where your point you made. We can talk about the tight ends here now too. Jake Ferguson could be the de facto number 2 option tonight in this offense, purely because, not a whole lot of talent exists outside of CeeDee Lamb. Jalen Tolbert has been slightly underwhelming to start the year. Ferguson, am I overlooking him? It's a tall price tag, 7,600. What's his ownership, man, going? Do you know off the top of your head, or do you want to guess?
I will guess he is. Who's he priced next to? Sorry, I'm doing a couple things. So, but who's
he's kind of in his own tier. He's 1K more than Freiermuth, but he's 600 less than Dowdle.
Okay, he's probably. Are you talking captain or just flex for his?
I'll combine them.
Oh, combine him. Okay, so I bet you he's like 25, and then captain it's like 5. So I'm going to say 30 to 35 will be my guess.
Saber says 40 to 45 in that sense. 9% in the captain, 36, 37 in the flex. And the reason is you kind of nailed it. He's 1K more than Freiermuth. He's 600 less than Dowdle. He's 1,000 less than Najee. You know what? At that angle, Jake Ferguson doesn't look too bad at all. So he's not going to go overlooked per se. But he's definitely, I think, I'm kind of warming to the fact that he's definitely going to be the second guy behind Lamb in targets tonight. And I don't really want to get away from that, because 7,600 is not a bad play if you're the second option in this Cowboys offense. Steelers.
I think it's good, Rubio. Like I'm gonna look as we're like doing the show here. We got 30 minutes, right? Yeah, we got 30 minutes. I'm gonna look to see if that like tight end captain can work. So I'll run it here shortly and see.
Well, he's also projected like 9 to 10% in the captain, which a little high. And I think that's fine. I mean, it makes sense. But it does show that a lot of people, Saber expects people to be gravitating toward Jake Ferguson quite a bit tonight. I'm going to build out 5,000 lineups when we talk about the Steelers receivers. I'm going to see which ones grade best in the Sims tonight too. But the Steelers wide receiver room, the best performer last week was Calvin Austin. And he's not going to pop tonight. Cowboys are actually decent against the slot too. They've actually been way above average in guarding against the slot. A lot of the reason is teams don't really have to throw on them. So if they have to throw on them, you saw Wandale last week do very well in the slot against this Cowboys team. But Calvin Austin's someone who I think for tournaments makes a little bit of sense. George Pickens is there too. I mean, what's your plan on the Steelers pass catchers? Throw Freiermuth into this equation.
I mean, I like Freiermuth a little bit. I just because the Cowboys are just bad, right? Like, I mean, I feel like you can, and even Calvin Austin, I think, is an intriguing value against them. So I definitely like them as options up. George Pickens, I definitely do not mind him, but this is where we have to make like a conversation. Like, how do we grade him versus like the top studs? That's where I'm going to struggle a little bit, especially if like, I mean, you pulled up the weather. I don't know if you have it, but I do want to know that. Like, if it's raining, I might want to fade George Pickens. I just think it could be an absolute disaster, possibly then. We'll see. I want to see how bad.
79. The wind is not insane. Like, it's less than 10 mile per hour wind and stuff. Like, I react to wind more than rain, and it doesn't look like the totals move too much. And you know what? If it's a little soggy out there, it can dry up too. It could be very spotty for all we know.
Okay, we're fine then. So I like Pickens. I think he's fine. I actually like the Steelers offense today. Like, I'm going to kind of invest in them. I want to be low again on that Cowboys run game for sure. Najee Harris, the interesting one we have to kind of talk a little bit about because he's such bad chalk. He just had such a bad week last week too. And you feel like you could definitely take advantage of that, but it's like his entire backfield. Like, what are you looking at with Najee? Because I know it's a great matchup.
So here's some stats. I'm going to throw out the stats part here. All right. Steelers are third against the run. The Cowboys are 26th against the run. This is just rushing yards per game against. As far as passing goes, the Steelers are 9th against the pass. The Cowboys are 19th. When you look at who do you want to target against the Cowboys, running backs tops the list. Running backs do perform very well against the Cowboys. Well, if you are like me and watched the Steelers last week, you'd be very disappointed if you clicked on Najee today, right? It's like one of those things where can you really, if you poke one eye, do you poke the other to even it out or do you let it heal? That's kind of the dilemma that you're facing here. The Cowboys cannot defend the run really at all, but they did well against Devin Singletary. And I keep contradicting myself as I go on. My take here, Mangone, is outside of Najee Harris, there is not a single player on this team outside of Najee Harris and Justin Fields that are guaranteed touches. And when you look at it that way, Najee becomes 10 times more safe than George Pickens. He becomes far more safe than Rico Dowdle. And everyone he's around is fine. And I see, just for on the Showdown playbook that we got, JBC really likes Najee Harris tonight. I'm okay with Najee, and he was in that initial mid-tier captain build when I could do it, Mango.
Yeah.
And I could go back into that because you can still, if you think the Cowboys win, you can do 4 Cowboys, 2 Steelers, and do Fields and Harris, and you almost have exposure to the entirety of that Steelers offense with those 2. And you still get 4 Cowboys offensive players, or if you want Aubrey and stuff, you have options. That seems like the most probable path if I were to play Najee tonight, Mango.
Yeah, I like that balanced build, so I probably will take him over Pickens the more I think about it. And it's just the other issue you have with Pickens is he's just such like a big play guy, and like it just has to come in bunches. Like there's a lot of ways it could not work out. Like what is the ownership on Harris versus Pickens?
So the ownership on Harris versus Pickens using SaberSim is 46% on Harris in the utility, and in the captain you can go ahead and tack on. They're expecting Najee to be about 65-70%. That's high. It's definitely high.
Yeah. I mean,
George Pickens, 35 to 40. 30 to 35. My bad.
Okay, 30 to 35.
So about half the ownership.
So that is a discount. I'm just trying to think it through. Because we can't play everyone. I know we've talked up a lot of good plays and everything. And that's why I like the mid-tier captain a lot. Because like I kind of want to get those good plays and then not have to play as many of these values for sure. So that's why I've kind of talked about it a bunch for sure. Well, they said Pick can't run the ball, fade Harris. The problem is, one, it's all they like to do, right?
Yeah, and Arthur Smith doesn't care. Well, actually, can I play contrary to that? Sure. They could run the ball when it was Cordero Patterson running the ball until he got hurt. Najee cannot run the ball.
That's true. But the other point is, like, this Cowboys defense, they're bad against the run right now, right? Like, it's just like they're missing guys. They don't have Parsons. They're missing Lawrence too, right?
I did not see him on the inactive. He could be on IR though. I didn't see him on the
Yeah, I
inactive.
think he's on IR. But point I'm getting at is if you look at the numbers, it's not good. So that's why he's grading out better. But obviously, Najee's definitely a good play. Like I said, the big fades are definitely, and I'm curious what the ownership comes in on. Those Cowboys running backs. What are the ownership you have on those guys?
Dowdle right now
Okay.
is projected around 32% combined with captain and flex. And
That
then
seems so
Ezekiel
overall.
Elliott, less than 10%.
Okay. I think so. If you told me you had to play one Cowboys running back, I'd probably play Zeke just because of the ownership game. That's it. It's just an ownership thing. That's it. Dowdle's not that good of a play at his ownership. You know that.
Yeah. I don't like Dowdle. I mean, look, when he closed up the laptop early after Dak throws one to Dowdle on Thursday Night Football, hopefully I don't have to do that tonight because I am fading the Cowboys running backs tonight.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's the thing. Yes, it doesn't matter who the Steelers go against. Najee Harris can suck. It's like a tale of two things, right? Right. Najee Harris can't run the ball, and the Cowboys can't stop the run. Which immovable force is going to win out here? But you just got to take volume. Najee Harris sucked last week. There is no question about it. He still had double-digit fantasy points, and he didn't fall into the box. He did not get a touchdown. He had 2 big catches, which really helped out his stat line, but Justin Fields ran into that box. If it was Harris, you might be talking about him differently. 16, 17 fantasy points. You know what? He wasn't that bad. So you gotta have to view it, zoom out a little bit, right? And see what is actually working, what's not. I think there's a better chance that Harris succeeds than he does fail. However, at 70% ownership, it seems like a lot of people are going to be thinking that. So you're really not going to get too ahead of the field if you are playing him. Mangone, it's time to talk special teams. Special players deserve special prices, and that's what Brandon Aubrey is getting. $5,800 for a kicker. It's incredibly high, but when you're the best of the best, you get what you deserve. Chris Boswell, used to kicking in that slimy, sloggy, Pittsburgh disgusting weather, $5,400 there. What are you doing with both kickers tonight, and do you have an interest in the defenses at all?
I definitely have interest in defense and both defenses, right? Just because, dude, Justin Fields can make moronic plays and it can work out pretty good. Hell is frozen over. Just check Big T's score. Okay, I'm going to do that really quick. I want to see. What is it? Okay, interesting. I don't want to say it out loud. Maybe if we get some likes, we'll say his score out loud. But yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely hell freezing over right there.
Yeah. But defenses are in play, mainly because the weather, the 2 quarterbacks we have going, listen, Dak's fine, but he does make mistakes as well. And it's like a top tier defense, right? That's the other thing. So I think both defenses are definitely in play. And I really don't love the kickers. Aubrey's price is it's so high, man. I don't know if I can get there. We'll see. I just think the price is too high to jam him in. That's all. This is why Rubio, I like the mid-tier captain builds. The more we talk about it, I need these mid-tier captain builds.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. So here real quick, I'm going to go over a top Saber sim here. Ready?
Okay.
All right, ROI. Name a contest. I've been a bunch. So name your favorite. Do you want single entry, 3 entry max, or do you want the milli? Or not the milli, but the 500K to first. 300K to first. Not even that good tonight.
I want a single entry one, and I want one from the big contest. I want 2.
All right, we'll do the whatever the bubble screen is. I think that's 15. So, all right, the top lineup in the Sims right now would be a 3-3 with Lamb captain, Prescott, and Lupke, and then it has a Fields stack.
Okay.
Now that is the top sim right here, and you could make that a 4-2 with Florida really easily too. The 200 is not a Cowboy, believe it or not. But what it's tending to do, Mangone, when I'm looking at these sims, Najee Harris captain, Justin Fields captain, is trying to push a lot of your favorite builds 4-2 of the less popular team. I wouldn't call the Steelers an exact underdog, right? The Steelers are favored -2.5. So, but it doesn't feel like that according to ownership. Outside of Najee and Fields, a lot of the time, those are the only 2 guys who are really going to soak up ownership on the Pittsburgh side of the ball. So a 4-2 Cowboy or 4-2 Steelers build, despite them being favorite, almost feels like your typical 4-2 underdog, which you like to play.
Yes, I do like to play. Do you feel pretty confident the Steelers are, yes, they're the favorite, but are the Steelers going to be more owned, or is it going to be split up?
I think the Cowboys are far more owned because you have the absence of Brandon Cooks. You don't have that concentration of, what's the word for it? the dispersion of targets in that Pittsburgh offense, right? Pickens is not popular. Freiermuth is under 30%. Steelers defense under 30%. Austin, Jefferson, Champlin, all under 20%. You go over to the Cowboy side of the ball, we talked about Ferguson being major talk. Dak, CeeDee Lamb, Aubrey's going to get significant ownership, as you know. Dowdle is almost predicting around 30%. It definitely feels like the Cowboys, despite being underdogs, are way more popular.
Yeah, and honestly, the more I talk it through, like I just found another team. Like the Ferguson Freiermuth captains are awesome. Like those builds are so nice. Like you mainly have to only punt one option down, which I don't love, but then you get absolute studs with it. And that's another reason why why that mid-tier captain build isn't bad. Like if you look at because when I run mine right now, and mine's in the Millie Rubio, I got this is on 20 teams. I got 30% Pickens captain. I also X the 5-1s out just so anyone knows. But 30% Pickens captain, 20% Fields, 20% Lamb, which I assume those would be the three guys. Then I have 15% Najee Harris. I get 5% Freiermuth, 5% Ferguson, and then I get a Cowboys defense. So it's just I'm with Mr. Town over here. Play the tight ends today. I think the tight ends are the winner.
So real quick, I want to ask you a quick question.
Okay.
What is the merit of Xing out 5-1s tonight? And is it because you think they're overowned? And I know that you don't usually play 5-1s. This is more of a broad question so people can kind of know. Yeah. But when I looked at it, man, going, a 5-1 is almost at the top of my list with a really good team that I like. And it's 5-1 with only one Steeler, right? That's the way you have to do it because, you'd probably be Fields. Because look at last week. Despite Fields going off, I think, a couple guys got there and stuff. But, it was Fields who dominated, right? And Najee didn't get there. I think Pickens was the only one who got there, right? Did he even really get there?
Well, Fields and Pickens got there. Najee was absolute trash, and Fields and Pickens got there.
Pickens got there with yardage, 7 for 113. So if you have a chance like that where it's a 5-1 with Fields, I'm okay with that a lot. I'm very okay with that tonight. I do think that Pittsburgh side's a little bit overowned, but what it would take, I would honestly do it with Fields captain. Fields rushes in too, takes away, only throws for 200 yards, and then all of a sudden he's got 50 yards on the ground. And all of a sudden you're really looking at a script where, the game could be 23-20 or 24-20, and Justin Fields is the top scorer, and you still have 5 Cowboys.
Well, you could certainly do that, and obviously that means at Najee's score of his price, if he got 13, he could still not be on the winner, right? Pickens, he could get you 12 and not be on the winner, right? So that's the reasoning for it. And the other reason why I like the idea of that, Rubio, is because you want one of those expensive captains. If I did a 5-1, I want a very expensive captain, and then I want those Cowboys values. I think that's how I would do it. But I just always X out the 5-1s. I don't like playing them. It's never something I enjoy. It is a way to get different if you want, but it's always I don't know. I just never can find 5-1s that aren't just insanely duped. And I more so look for good 4-2s and 3-3s that I think are just intriguing constructions that maybe people aren't doing. One of them I found, and it's the Freiermuth captain. The Freiermuth captain, it just goes him and Justin Fields and then 4 Cowboys. So I'm fading Harris and I'm fading Pickens. I think it's a really good team, and I love the way it sets up. So I definitely like looking at those kind of teams. And another way to do it is maybe you find a 4-2 that plays 3 running backs, and you don't play 3 running backs on a team. Maybe you find a team that plays Freiermuth and Jake Ferguson together. It doesn't have to be in the captain, but maybe they're both in the flex. How many people are playing both those? It's just the teams that we saw win. We saw a kicker captain win with a kicker in the flex. How many teams play 2 kickers together? Not that many. So looking for those types of unique constructions are some of the things that I do. I want to find unique constructions while still playing very good plays.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Readjusted my projections a tad, and I get a Tolbert captain, which I really like. If it does seem to be where Saber really likes Fields with Pickens, and I can't really argue against that, right? I don't love Pickens and stuff, but when you saw the ceiling performance from Fields last week, it did include a ceiling performance from Pickens himself. I'm going to go ahead and run one more sim here too, and then kind of see what I can get for my main team. Mangone, when I was looking at potential props for this game, because I know that you're a prop junkie as well, Which one of the any of the props that you looked at and maybe looked ahead of time and thought this one's really good for tonight?
Yeah, I can pull it up. Let's see. Let's see what.
Because there's a profit boost tonight on DraftKings too.
There's what?
There's a profit boost on DraftKings tonight.
Oh, there we go. Got to get in the profit boost. Okay, so the three I bet them whenever I bet them, probably yesterday. This is the bet, like one of the bets, like you never want to bet, but like it just grades out good and you just do it. It was like I had the under on Jamar Chase's receptions today, and it never feels good, but it's the under on CeeDee Lamb's receptions. So
no one likes unders, man. Going.
I know.
Anything better? Anything bebetter?
I have two more unders. Calvin Austin's receptions and his yards at 15.5. So there you go. Those are my three bets today. Those are the ones that graded out good, and I just went with those. If you want full transparency, how my bets do today? Not as good as normal. It was probably my first losing bets week with props. So there we go.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
Can we do first? Are we going to do first touchdown bets and stuff like that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Throw in some likes here in about 8 minutes. I'll tell you the Big T core captain, because this is the one that shocked us. Was just the captain. We get some likes up on the video here. Keep watching. Then I'll throw out Big T's captain core. Big T's been really hot with the bets lately. Throwing in the bets and stuff, especially for baseball and college football and then NFL as well. He's been incredible. I'm wondering if he's got any bets posted for tonight's game as well, because what he has been doing, he's been hitting like 6-2 every night, it feels like, especially in baseball. Mangone, here's a quick question for you here. Are you settled in on your main team yet? No, yeah, good point.
Can't get off mute.
I am missing a guy for my core, Sato, because I am just finalizing what build I want in there. I don't know if it's a punt or not. It'll probably be Brandon Aubrey.
I am going to change it, Rubio. I'm going to change my core. I'm going Pat Freiermuth captain. That's my core now. There you go.
I like it. Let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to go ahead and, set up my lineup. Ask some questions, guys. We still got few minutes and stuff. Throw some questions in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my lineup here. So if you see me just fiddling on my phone here, it's because I'm trying to create a winner so I can be a part of that. Well, I tend to chop. I'm just going to upload a few teams to a Saber, but I do want to get this main team ironed out. So ask some questions if you guys are needing anything or asking if you want snap counts or something like that. I got the Cowboys up right now, and we can get that answered.
Yeah,
game delay. Cowboys Steelers delayed due to inclement weather.
Oh, how till when?
Indefinitely, I guess. I don't know. Until the rain stops.
I wonder. So the key is does DraftKings push it back?
Yes, they will.
I assume they will, but you just never know.
I would be shocked if they did not delay it. What's Fields OS and C looking like? What?
What's Fields OS at center looking like? What's his OS? I don't know what OS stands for.
Operating system. Favorite cheapie. I like going to Love Key is like my favorite, where I kind of feel safe, and I do think the Deuce Vaughn being out is potentially something that can help Lepke a little bit. Not a ton, but it probably helps out a little bit more. But I do like Lepke. He ran 12 routes last week too. He'd be my favorite cheapie, but if you need to go all the way down to Florida, you can. I'm
pretty sold on Lepke. I think he's the guy.
Jerry Stacks, Big T posted the flow chart on his Twitter, I think, this morning. If you want to check that out, you can. How do you feel about Pittsburgh's backup running backs? I will tell you this. I was shocked when I saw Shampklin in the game last time out. And you know what? He didn't look that bad. He looked just as good as Najee. I don't mind that for 2K at all. And it's really going to be a little bit unique. He's going to be under 10% owned. I'm fine with Shampklin. And it does seem like Arthur Smith and Tomlin do want to play a backup running back for even a few series. Would you ever play two Pittsburgh running backs? I mean, yeah, it's fine because one's a punt. It's nothing like he'd really need to do.
Yeah.
Ownership at captain. That's what it was. Ownership at captain for Fields, I think, was about 25. Was that 25%? No, 16%. Fields over 47.5 look great in that weather. Yeah, I don't mind Fields rushing props.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. I'd have to run. I mean, if you told me just off the dome, right? I'm guessing stuff. I'd say yeah, like Fields. I could see it going well here for him.
My bad, David. I didn't mean to. Yeah, so ownership at captain, that makes sense there. Yeah, I was really struggling there. Mangone. Well, we can't go to kickoff. You know that.
We definitely can't go to kickoff, which I'm okay with. I'll be able to adjust lineups a little bit. I want to go get wings, so that gives me a little bit of a window to get wings. I don't have to miss any Najee Harris 2-yard carries. That's something that's exciting to watch. So
Tony's captain in his core, which we're all shocked by, Najee Harris. Najee Harris captain. I'm shocked by it. But he's been on a heater, so you can't ignore a heater. Mangone. I say that we sign off here in a few minutes, but real quick, give me your wing order and then give me your favorite FanDuel MVP along with it.
What was the last question?
FanDuel MVP.
Oh, FanDuel MVP. FanDuel MVP would be, what did I end up doing? Let me double check. I want to make sure I'm giving out. Yeah, I went with Dak Prescott. So over there, I went with Dak Prescott as my MVP. Wing order, dude, I get these. So actually, I'll take a picture and send it to you, Rubio. I get these honey barbecue wings from this place. They're very good. They're top tier. So they were on like what's that show? Diners, Dips, and Dives or whatever that show is called. That
show. Who was on a show, a Food Network show? You gotta love that.
Yeah, it's now the only thing I'll say is like it was on the show a while ago, and like as it's like, you know, management has changed and like they've grown more. They've fallen off a little at times, so you never know for certain. But they're still very good. You'll like them. I'll send you a picture, Rubio. You'll say that's a good wing from that picture. Because listen, you like Buffalo Wild Wings chicken sandwiches, so if that's your
the bar is low, yeah, the bar is clearly low.
Yeah, you're an Arby's guy. You're a Burger King guy. I mean, the bar is just low for you.
I do mess with Arby's. I absolutely love Arby's. Tolbert Turpin or Ferguson Lepke. I'm going to go side 2. I like Ferguson Lepke.
Definitely side 2, but I'll just say this. Like, Tolbert Turpin is like, no one's playing that combo together. Like, it sounds so stupid. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, those are like the weird combos that can win, but I think it's like very obviously that it's Ferguson and Lepke. Like, I love that combo, and I'm a huge Ferguson guy tonight, so.
All right, I got to change my core because I've decided the main team, and it's gross. It's got Lepke in it, Mangone. And I'm actually going to go Fields captain.
Yeah, I mean, I like Fields captain. So my rankings on captains are, let me just check my 3 max to double check.
To me, it's Lamb or Fields, but to Mangone, he really liked Freiermuth and Ferguson at captain. He liked the tight ends a little bit.
Well, I think it's my rankings on captains. Because again, I did this before the show. Yeah. I did Lamb, Fields, Pickens were like my 3 max ones. But the more I looked into it on the show, I do think the tight end captains are intriguing. And when I ran stuff more, like for instance, like when I run stuff on Sabre, like I'm just handpicking like a couple teams. I'm not playing a ton, but when I do like the handpicking stuff, and this is when I've like won before, I've just looked at like who are the guys I'm not getting a lot at captain, and take some of these good teams at the top, right? Like the Freiermuth captains, James Cook captain. Like I've won on some weird captains, and I'm okay like not winning if like a really good captain wins. So I'm going to take shots on it. I just think this is a little bit of an uglier slate. And, you know, I said that about the last slate. I wasn't right about much, but I did say this is going to be an ugly slate. Let's play some weird stuff. I did not say let's play like Derrick Henry and Justice Hill together. But the point is, look for those weird combinations tonight. I think this is another great game for that. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Like playing Pat Freiermuth and Jake Ferguson together. I'm sure I'll have one team that has those two on the same.
All right. You beat me to that one. That little spam in there. Over or the under? Who do y'all have winning tonight? Well, what was Big T's score? I can only give you the Najee captain. The rest of it, you know, it's pretty standard Big T if you know him. But over the under, who do y'all have winning tonight? I think that's a good one to end on, Brett. I am going to go with the Steelers winning this one, Mangone. You're on mute, so whatever you just said, I did not hear.
They still haven't pushed back the lock.
I know. I noticed that. I was kind of shocked by it. I thought for sure that they would push it back.
Yeah, I think we need to be a little worried about that. So I gotta.
I'm not. Yeah, I thought they would do it for sure. Let's go ahead and just check if there is a delay. Your Mets took that L too, but who do you think wins tonight? I'm going Steelers. I just had to throw that jab.
You had to throw that in there.
24-17. Go Phillies.
Oh gosh, awful. But I will take. I'm gonna say final score of this game. It's a bit of an ugly one. We'll take the Cowboys. They win it 20-17. There you go.
Take the Cowboys. Nice. I'm very curious about this lock not being pushed back. I thought for sure that it would.
I gotta cancel head-to-head. I guess most of my head-to-heads got taken, so we're good. People are out there. They saw my bad takes on the show and they said we gotta play this guy.
Yeah, Caleb, I was kind of with you today in terms of DFS. Well, actually, I did well in the London one, and then I did well in NASCAR. But like the Classic, that was probably my worst team I've had in a long, long time for a main team. Man, I got wrecked.
Really?
Off my main team. Yep. Pickens captain. We're okay with it. I'm not on it personally, but I mean, you saw last week 7 for 113. Cowboys defense is gettable. I'm not going to argue against it. I'm not going to say it's bad because it's low on too. Last thing, I mean, we can go up to late 20. I mean, I'm sorry to keep you waiting from your wings. I'm actually going to send you this.
I haven't ordered them yet, so it's okay. And honestly, we'll have an hour, so I'll have to. The place is pretty quick. I'm not too worried about it. I am worried about getting this. I got to get a couple teams in here. So, what are you going to send me? You said.
I just sent you the team I'm going to be running tonight. I'm hoping that the Cowboys end on 20 points. You know, Aubrey kicks 2 50-yarders. That would be my goal.
There you go.
All right. Got the bots out of the chat.
Got them out.
Any last questions? Feel free to ding them in here. Steelers defense for Calvin Austin. I like the way Calvin Austin looked last week. I thought he was great, but I still think I lean the Steelers defense here. We know how wild Dak can get at times with the ball.
Rubio, give me your favorite captain. Maybe I'll put one in that you like. We'll see. I got like a minute or 30 left, so
it's the Fields captain line. I was so in between Fields and Lamb. I really wanted Lamb because I think like being more expensive, he's not going to be as owned and stuff. But in terms of at captain, but I landed on Fields in the end all be all. If you wanted a fun one, I did like the Jalen Tolbert one.
That one's ugly. That one works. We'll go with that. I got to be fast. Yeah, we got time. We'll get it.
Got to use those quick fingers, man. Going.
Yeah, we'll get it in there. I'm not too worried about it. So
first TD. Yes. You know what? Let's ride Tony's first touchdown. He's been hot with him. Actually, I don't want to. No, I'm kidding. Najee Harris.
Yeah, Najee. Yeah, that's his. Mine's
he usually goes with the long shot. I like yours the long shot. I like pairing a long shot with not a long shot, but like a longer shot with a favorite.
Yeah, I went with Pat Freiermuth, so there you go. That's my
Pat Freiermuth plus 1,700, Najee Harris plus 550. Yeah. Captain Russ, since he's the emergency quarterback. That's funny. Yeah, he is the emergency quarterback tonight. 8:45 pushback on the DK Sportsbook app. Is it pushback on DFS? No. So this slate is not going to get delayed on the DraftKings website, the DFS one. So you still have time for your first touchdown bets.
Yeah, you have time.
NBA starts in less than 2 weeks. Actually, I think just over 2 weeks. We'll have content up for that on every single slate, as you might have come to know. You can get all sports packaged in. RPS 15% off your first purchase here at Run For Your Sports. Yeah, I think we're all good, Mangone. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for sticking through Mangone's wing order. Honey barbecue, disgusting. You need a real barbecue sauce next time.
Oh, Rubio, when I send you a picture of these wings, and hopefully they do a good job this time, you'll see like the glaze on them and be like, oh, that's a good wing. And if I don't get a good batch, I'm gonna have to look at my phone and hopefully see if I took a picture in the past because I need to make sure you approve because you are a food savant since you love Arby's and Burger King.
You're really glazing this food, Doug. You're really glazing it. I
haven't ate much in a while. I haven't ate since like probably 1, so I'm pretty hungry. So that's probably
7 hours. Tough. All right, guys. Everyone have a great rest of y'all's day. Thanks for watching. Have a good one and good luck tonight.